So on Monday in Manchester, Frank Warren is going to host a press conference. He's going to be talking about his upcoming schedule when he moves over to the zone come April. And credit to Frank Warren, even though he's leaving TNT, he's leaving them on a high because he's still putting on very, very good shows on TNT up until the end of March. Now, when he goes to the zone, have a look there on screen because the zone are making moves, aren't they? Remember, people, the fight card of the century featuring Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol, the rematch, and Daniel Dubois versus Joseph Parker for the heavyweight world title. That will be live worldwide on DAZN, the global home of boxing. Also, Queensbury events moving forward, including the rumoured event that we're going to be talking about. It is a rumour, but the rumoured event we're going to be talking about, that will all be included in your DAZN subscription. Link in the comment section in the description. Please go over, give it a look. There's a lot of good stuff happening. There is a lot of good stuff happening. And one of these good things that is, apparently happening, we'll know more on Monday. We'll probably know more the weekend because you normally tend to see the fighters on their social media say, well, here I am in Manchester, here I am in London. And you're like, why are you there? I wonder. Well, No Smoke Boxing. Now, No Smoke Boxing are normally quite good. I remember O'Hara Davis had a bit of a go. I think it was O'Hara Davis had a bit of a go with them before it was announced he was fighting Adam Azim. And it was really weird because he was having a go with them for reporting that, saying, oh, that's not true, this, that, and the other. And literally like a day later it was announced. So, bizarre one. But they are saying that the rumoured co-main event for the Manchester card, so basically, there's a conference on Monday, and it's rumoured that Richard Riakporhe versus Lawrence Okolie is set to be announced at a press conference on Monday as a co-main event. Now, you would ask, holy crap, co-main event. How is that a co-main event? That's got to be a big show. Lawrence Okolie versus Richard Riakporhe. At the end of the day, it is still, in theory, a kind of cruiserweight fight. Riakporhe has recently fought for the cruiserweight title. Cody was a recent cruiserweight, but nevertheless, it's still a decent fight. Riakporhe really, he didn't look good in there against CBS. Very, very good matchmaking. Very good matchmaking on the part of Ben Shalom. In fact, they made him look a lot better than he was, even though he feasted upon people like Ola Dorodola, who had way seen better days, Krzysztof Glowacki, etc. He didn't look good against CBS. He was soundly beaten. They're saying that is going to be the co-main event. What would you ask would be the main event then? Because obviously, that's a decent show. It's a big fight, reasonably, for certainly in the domestic scene. What could be bigger than that? Bigger being the operative word. Joyce versus Dillian Whyte is set to be announced. Joyce is already booked in for a date in Bournemouth. He's fighting an absolute no-hoper, so it could be just a little runaround. But yes, they are actually saying that it could very well be Joyce versus Dillian Whyte as the main event. Now, a few things spring to mind on that one, right? One, this is a UK show. It has to be. Riakporhe Okolie and Joyce versus Dillian Whyte, that has to be a UK show. You would imagine that the zone would want it in the UK. You imagine everyone would want it in the UK. Wherever in the UK, I don't know. Probably London, because I think they're all pretty much based out of London. In fact, Okolie is what? Okolie's Hackney, isn't he? Is Okolie Hackney? Riakporhe is Crystal Palace. Whyte is Brixton. I'm not sure where Joyce is from. I'm pretty sure he's from London as well. So I'd have to do it in London, you would imagine. But how is Dillian Whyte able to fight in the UK? Because it's not even been 2 years yet since the adverse analytical finding, we'll use that terminology, he got in the run up to the Joshua fight that never happened. Since then, he's been on a kind of quote-unquote, let's call it a world tour, in which he fought in Castlebar in Ireland nearly a year ago against Christian Hammer, very random fight. And then he fought in Gibraltar before Christmas, and he looked absolutely awful against Ebenezer Tete, a 36-year-old Ebenezer Tete. Looked awful in that fight, mind you. Saying that, Joyce was knocked out badly by Zhilei Zhang, nearly 2 years ago now, September of 2023. He subsequently came back against Cash Ali, didn't look amazing in that fight, and then was dropped and beaten on points by Derek Chisora, of all people. Derek Chisora has lost twice to Dillian Whyte, mind you. So this really would be a loser leaves town match, because the loser of this fight, I mean, you really are, you're going nowhere. You're done. You're sticking a fork in him. Joyce being the older guy, even though he's not been pro as long, Miles on the clock for Joe Joyce too, but listen, Joe Joyce didn't look good against Cash Ali, fair enough. He didn't look good, but he still won. He didn't look good against Eric Chisora. He lost that fight, he got dropped. Fair enough. Dillian Whyte, I couldn't believe how bad he looked against Ebenezer Tete. And you have to remember, this is an Ebenezer Tete who 5 years prior was knocked out in the round, and Daniel Dubois never really even got out of first gear, knocking him out. And he was younger then, 5 years younger, if he was ever young. He looked old as hell, Tete. He had the old man bod. He looked old as hell, slow as anything, limited as anything. And Dillian Whyte has never been fast. Never been a fast fighter. He looked even slower, as if that's possible. His punching power looked to have diminished because he was hitting Ebenezer Tete flush and nothing was happening. Again, Ebenezer Tete, Daniel Dubois, as soon as Dubois started landing, boom, I'm done. You're looking for the canvas. As soon as he started landing. That was a younger Daniel Dubois as well. He was stunned a couple of times by Tete's uppercut. Tete again, limited to say the least. And Dillian Whyte just looked absolutely horrific. So this fight right here, if it's happening and when the bell rings, if you're watching it on the DAZN, if you're watching it by whatever means, you may jump up out of your seat and say, oh, something's wrong with my broadcast because this looks like it's stuck in slow motion. No, that'll be just how the guys are. It'll just be how they are. They'd be two of the slowest heavyweights on the planet, certainly a decent level, but God, it'll be a fun fight. And to be honest with you, I reckon that it wouldn't shock me if they're talking about a Coley Riakporhe, I would favour a Coley in that fight. I always would have favoured a Coley in that fight. Riakporhe is very physically strong, he can punch a bit, but I think a Coley would just be, and a Coley is just a bit bigger as well. I would favour a Coley to win that fight, and surely he would meet the winner. He would meet the winner of Joe Joyce versus Dillian Whyte, because Dillian Whyte and Coley, they had that sparring, but they sparred many years ago now, and Coley was saying how well he did, this, that and the other, and that's when Baby Ting confronted him at a matchroom show, and Lawrence Coley, he looked like he went and had to wipe his you-know-what straight after. It looked like he absolutely essed himself when Baby Ting went up and just straight in his face. That was, although I say that I'd be absolutely petrified if Baby Ting did that to me as well. And so there is a bit of beef there. And then with Joe Joyce, there's not really any beef with Joe Joyce or anything like that, but it's an in-house fight, that sort of way. So whoever wins out of the two respective fights, I reckon they'll meet on a subsequent card. But people, Riakporhe versus a Coley, and then Joe Joyce. And bear in mind, this is probably going to be on DAZN. This is probably going to be in the UK. Frank Warren, he's not playing around. Frank Warren, if you had said to me 6 years ago that he would have cards like this, he'd be on DAZN, he'd be one of, if not the biggest promoter in the UK, I would have laughed at you, quite frankly. Right now, Frank Warren is not playing around, and he is doing arguably some of the best work of his career. The man's in his 70s. And yeah, listen, if this is the standard we're going to get with Frank on DAZN, happy people, happy. I'm more than happy with that. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Riakporhe Coley and Joe Joyce versus Dillian Whyte, all on the one card. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Entertainment at all levels. Neither of those two guys, Joyce and Whyte, is going to win a world title, but they will have a damn good fight. Mark my words on that. I would favour Joe Joyce if I haven't already said it already. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, people. I will leave it there. I hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And until next time, peace.